current line, and by moving within, changing everything outside. This is where reality begins to reveal itself as it truly is, a vibrational mirror of internal states. But since we were taught to think in absolute terms, right or wrong, good or bad, positive or negative, we forgot that life doesn't respond to judgment. It responds to vibration. And vibration doesn't recognize good or bad. It recognizes coherence. If you vibrate fear, even while wishing for peace, the universe responds to fear. If you vibrate scarcity, even while speaking of abundance, reality reflects the frequency, not the speech. And that's why the law of polarity is such a powerful key, because it reveals that you're not stuck at the pole where you are. You can move, not with effort, but with presence and perception. Anger, for example, may seem destructive, but it's just the same fire of action, burning without direction. Sadness is sensitivity that hasn't found language. Envy is unclaimed desire for power. Anxiety is expansion without grounding. And healing is not about fighting these states. It's about recognizing that each of them holds a hidden pole waiting to be accessed. You don't need to erase your shadow. You need to use your light to reveal what it holds. And then something aligns, because the opposites stop fighting and start dancing. When that happens, you no longer live at the mercy of the extremes. You learn to inhabit the center, and from there, move consciously between both sides, like someone who understands the inner compass of the real. This law is like a bridge. It doesn't separate. It reveals the path between the extremes, and by crossing that bridge within, you stop living as a victim of what you feel, and begin to awaken as a creator of what you vibrate. And that is more than emitting positive thoughts. It is understanding the frequency behind every choice, every word, every silence. And that's why Thoth, the master of the middle, never lived in the extremes. He wasn't of the light, nor of the shadow. He was of the crossing between both. The scribe of the gods, the keeper of cycles, the guardian of the universal laws. In the Egyptian tradition, Thoth didn't merely write. He recorded the hidden vibration behind events. He was the consciousness able to perceive the truth behind the form, the sound behind the silence, the movement behind the apparent stillness. That's why he didn't align with sides. He aligned with the center, because it's in the center that opposites reveal themselves as complementary. It's where hot and cold lose their names and become temperature, where good and evil dissolve and become consciousness, where ego and essence don't fight, but engage in dialogue. Thoth teaches us that the middle is not omission, it is power, because only in the middle is there full vision. Only there can you see the entire axis, with beginning, end, and purpose. The law of polarity, when seen through Thoth's eyes, ceases to be a concept and becomes a path, because between the two poles there is a road. And on that road, you no longer need to choose between rejecting one side or idolizing the other. You walk, you feel, you recognize that you've been both, and that now you're ready to be the bridge. And that bridge is alive. It pulses in every non-reaction decision, in every listening without judgment. In every moment, you don't let yourself be pulled by the extreme, but observe, breathe, and respond from another place. Thoth is this intelligence. He represents the human who does not deny his shadows, but also does not cling to them. The being who is not deceived by the shine of light, but also does not hide from his power. He stands at the center of the scale, in the eye of the storm, in the silence between sound and echo. It is at this point that the law of polarity transmutes into wisdom, because you stop reacting and start start conducting. And conduct is not control. It is listening. It is presence. It is knowing what energy inhabits the space, and what frequency you want to anchor in it. The universe doesn't need you to fight your opposites. It needs you to become aware of them, and from that awareness, choose the vibration that aligns you with truth, not just with the emotion of the moment. Thoth knew this. That's why he was feared and revered, because where most saw conflict, he saw structure. Where many saw punishment, he saw code. And it is this clarity that the law of polarity wants to give you. The clarity of someone who is not moved by the force of one side, but by the integration of the whole. You no longer need to swing like a pendulum between two extremes. You can become the axis, and the axis, when stabilized, creates field. And from there, reality responds. But not with magic. Everything around self you have chosen to sustain. Not because the world changed, but because you repositioned yourself within your own vibration. And this is where the law of polarity stops being a concept and becomes a living tool. Because every emotion, every uncomfortable feeling, every internal state considered negative carries within it an unrecognized pole waiting to be accessed with awareness. Anger, for example, may seem like poison, but it's only untapped action potential. It doesn't want destruction, it wants direction. Sadness is not weakness. It is depth without expression. Fear is unheard. Intuition and anxiety is the desire for expansion that hasn't found structure. None of this needs to be erased. It needs to be decoded. Because every shadow is a forgotten gift, if you have the courage to decipher it. Transmutation happens when you recognize the present pole and shift your awareness to the hidden pole. Not like someone fleeing from an extreme, but like someone who crosses, understands, and reframes.